Welcome, everybody. Hello. Hello. Hi, Glenn. Good to see you, Glenn. Mary is here. Hello, Mary. And Bernadette, good to see you. Let's see. Donna and Bobby. I think we've got some friends of Darla and Ruth here.
Yes.
I recognize a few people. Yeah.
Great.
Hey, Darla. It's Pam.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm looking forward to this.
Well, I hope it works.
Your
It'll
lovely little
work.
piece of paradise in Italy.
There you go. By the way, we're talking about 2022, and we're talking about with Ruth and Darla about doing workshops in 2022. And on our website at laromita.org, you can click a little button and find their names, and we will put you on a list that every time we have an update about when we have the exact dates and all that kind of stuff, we will be contacting everybody who signs up on that. So do check out our website. On our website, we also have a lot of information about travel during the pandemic, and we are updating it practically every day, so you can check there and see how things are going. By the way, things are going really well in both Italy and the United States right now, thankfully. The European Union is falling over backwards trying to give people the opportunity to come and visit Europe this summer. So I think we are planning on operating in September and October, and we have a lot of different things that we're offering during that time. So if you're champing at the bit to get away from the lockdown situation and start traveling again, come
Really?
and visit. In the second half of September, we're going to, we don't have this advertised yet, but we're going to have a non-instructed, it's just going to be like just a bunch of artists getting together, and other than that, we'll travel with the group. We'll go and visit the towns we normally visit, or beaches, or whatever else people feel like doing. But it will be, just wide open, no instructor. It will cost less, and it'll be a good chance if you want. We're going to have the option, people can stay for 7, 10, or 14 days.
Nice.
So check out what we're doing.
Yeah.
So can I introduce first our two guests today are Darla Bostick and Ruth Armitage. So I'm going to mute everyone, and then Darla will begin with a PowerPoint, and we will have Darla talking, and I will be showing these slides. All right.
Shall I start?
Go ahead,
Good.
Darla.
I wanted to talk to you about who I am and what we do on our art abroad adventures. And then I want to show what you can expect should you choose to go with me to La Romita. So I'm Darla Bostick. I live in Denton, Texas, and I earned my Bachelor of Fine Arts at Texas Tech University. I've been involved in the arts since that time as an art educator in Iowa, Arizona, New Mexico, Missouri, Kansas, and Texas. In my personal work, I find the greatest challenge and satisfaction in watercolors and photography. But I like all medias. These days, I like to combine medias, primarily water media and ink. Recently, I have enjoyed public art projects. There is a large supporting column under the Chisholm Trail Tollway in Fort Worth, Texas. My photograph was used by another artist as reference for the finished mosaic work done in Germany. It was my introduction to participating in local public art. Last year, my design was chosen for a large mural in my local Denton Walmart. And here are two of my signal boxes. I also contributed to the 1 Million Bones, an installation done in Washington, D.C. to bring awareness to world genocide. I like the idea of using art to make a difference in the world. Since painting on site is not always convenient, especially when I travel with my husband, I use my camera as a sketchbook to capture the colors of a region, its architecture, unique landscapes, and the people's daily lives. My travels provide a lot of original photo references. And when I return home, they inspire paintings in watercolor or mixed media. Love of travel is evident in my paintings. Here are some works inspired by trips to Cambodia, to China, and to New Zealand. I believe the best way to understand other cultures is through the art of the people. I've been fortunate to visit 75 countries. In 2008, I taught my first art workshop retreat at Ghost Ranch in Santa Fe, New Mexico. The next year, I moved my event to the original Ghost Ranch in Abiquiu, New Mexico. For those who don't know, this is the area where Georgia O'Keeffe created her most remembered works. My Ghost Ranch event has continued to grow, and I look forward to it each year. I have presented other workshops in Kansas and Arizona. In Missouri, I've taught 7 week-long art retreats since 2013. As my art retreats became more popular, in 2015, I began taking art groups abroad. In Spain, we tagged in a visit to the Rock of Gibraltar. Our trip to Denmark included a few days in Germany. We used only public transit. We are a very small group of artists and non-artists who desire the encounter, who experience the culture, sights, foods of another country as we gather photographs, sketches, and mementos. We use paint and other fun materials as we record the trip with an art journal. My annual Art Adventures Abroad has included visits to Spain, Portugal, Ireland, Denmark, Germany, and France. In 2020, plans for Italy were canceled due to the pandemic. In October of this year, it's back to France, and in July next year, Italy is back on the agenda at La Romita.
Hooray!
Yay! The goal is to create a casual artistic journal using collage, painting, drawing, and photography. No particular art skills are required. You are invited. Bring a friend, a spouse, or other family member for a memorable experience. Seasoned artists as well as new artists are welcome. Even the spouses have fun. My group is folks who like to have fun seeing the sights. We look at things through the lens of an artist. Along the way, we collect images, we sketch, photograph, and make notes. Sometimes we sit and work. During our day visits to different villages, we draw at the restaurants as we wait for our meal. Or maybe on the boardwalk at the gardens. Or near a palace or castle wall to sketch a bit. Inspiration may strike sitting beside a fountain with markers in hand. Upon our return to the retreat facilities, we use our photos taken during the day using pastels, pencil, marker, watercolor, acrylic, and more. We add to our journal. I'll explain how to travel light with art supplies. All of this fits into the 3 small cases at the back of the photograph. Plus, I bring things for you to try. We will be making an art journal and I will provide demos with plenty of ideas. Then your job is to notice the small and interesting things as we visit a different place each day. Each day there is a fun challenge for photography as well as the journal itself. There are also lessons dedicated to various techniques and formats. You can expect to experience the area. We have enjoyed art museums, castles, and palaces. We have time to shop, to sip a bit of something along the sidewalk cafe, and smell the hollyhocks. On one of our retreats, my husband shared yoga before breakfast. We have floated underground inside a cave. We've witnessed prehistoric cave art and natural sights like gardens, shorelines, and cliffs, depending on where we are. We have popped into cathedrals, mosques, and even a stupa. Flea markets, dancers, and musicians add to the mix. Meals depend on where we are for each trip. We eat at the retreat along a sidewalk cafe or maybe picnic along the river. For our Italy art adventure, we are relying on the hospitality of La Romita. Here are some examples from my sketchbooks to give you an idea of how fun and easy it is to record a trip. Our lunch and the view I sketched while waiting for it to arrive. It was painted in the studio later. In Cordoba, we pulled out our journals and sat in the shade of the Alcazar Gardens to sketch. The stamp was a flea market find. In Évora, Portugal, this was quickly done on site. The sketchbook can be as simple as you want. My favorite place in Portugal is the Douro River. The ice cream colored cottages of Cobb, Ireland had to be included. A few of us sat on a stone wall in the shade to the left as we sketched. This is where we stopped for fish and chips while in Ireland. I sat facing the stone landscape with the town below and sketched this as others shopped. These are collaged pieces from a brochure I picked up somewhere. Mistakes are allowed. I misspelled royalty, but that's okay. This is the Norrebro flea market outside Copenhagen. The Pergamon Museum is my favorite in Berlin. The storks of Portugal always amaze me. These were at Sagres. Sometimes when I draw on site, I forget to take a photo. Here are 2 different views of the Rosenborg Slot in Denmark. This photo was taken from the top of the double-decker tour bus and added to the sketchbook later. For some of us, travel is exciting. For some, it is daunting. You might be able to fly along with me from the DFW airport in Dallas, or join us at a layover stop, or simply meet us at our destination. I can let you know if others from your area are coming along. We hope to have dates soon for my La Romita art adventure. Edmund sent me some pics of La Romita. I've never been there, but these photographs really convinced me I need to go. For 50 years, La Romita School of Art has been bringing people to the Umbrian region of central Italy. Students and instructors stay at La Romita, an exquisitely renovated 16th century Capuchin monastery, surrounded by olive groves in the foothills of the Apennine Mountains. So just a little about La Romita for those who haven't stayed there. La Romita is situated on a hillside above the city of Terni, Italy, in the region of Umbria. It was established in 1548 as a monastery. This is the studio where we can expect to create and share. There are many other photos on the La Romita website. Our friends at La Romita will show us special places to create our memories. I can't wait for our La Romita adventure. I hope you'll join me next year, maybe in July, in beautiful Italy. I've been putting as much as I can on my website, so I hope you will take a peek and of course, stay in touch with La Romita, and I look forward to meeting everyone.
That's it.
That is it.
Very nice. Thanks, Darla.
Thank you.
A couple of the points you made that we can, before people can comment, I wanted to just point out that when you travel, we've been doing this for a long time, and we found that there are many kind of overnight flights, really easy to arrive in Rome in the morning after flying out of the States in the afternoon or the evening. And so we ask that everyone arrives at the Rome airport by 10:30 in the morning, and our bus will meet everybody there, and then we'll be able to get you up to La Romita, which is a couple of hours away, for a nice orientation lunch and relaxation period before we begin the serious work of having fun with art. But this is going to be, and then we do the same thing on the way back. We try to get everyone to make a ticket no earlier than 10:30, so we don't have to go to the airport too early in the morning. But but these formulas work out really well. So, and we will be helping people with their itinerary. I'm always available to answer questions and help people figure out how to get there and what they should know. We'll be sending out a big pack with lots of information as well as soon as we get these dates set up. So go ahead, if you want to unmute everyone and you want to make a comment or something, please. Darla and Ruth, who is going to present next, have a couple of questions for you who have been to La Romita already. So Darla, what?
Okay. I wondered how many people listening today have done a travel journal?
Oh, yes.
Excellent.
Many.
All right. I wondered, I've been sitting in on these with the other artists, and I just love them. It's just been such a nice break from a kind of not normal existence lately. I would love to know, and this was asked at the last aperitivo that I sat in on, what is your favorite place that you've visited? Because I've been to Italy, I've been to a lot of places, but I haven't been necessarily up where La Romita is. So I would love to hear what's your favorite place up in that area?
I'm curious on that one too. That was my question.
Benno, you've got something to offer there?
Well, I would say we talked about Strongcombe the other day.
Yeah.
And it is a favorite of mine, but I must say that there are so many nice places that it's pretty hard to get favorites. Yeah, I love to go. La Romita has so many wonderful things to offer. You have Assisi, you have Spoleto, Orvieto, and then on a smaller scale, you have Stroncone. And so the variety is amazing. And I've been all over the world. So I can tell you, here's a sketch, watercolor sketch
Wonderful.
of this is Mexico. Okay. So
Okay.
it matters. You're going to find, having not been there, that every day will be charged with just lovely places. And
Great.
I've taught there now for what, 4 or 5 seasons, and we always find something else. And I can tell you, you're going to be floored.
We try to keep the time in the bus, minimal as possible. So within 1 hour of La Romita, because we don't want people to spend, 5 hours on a bus during a day. So within 1 hour, I have a list of places that are all tried and true there. And the list is now about 60 places.
Oh,
So
gosh.
Central Italy is just full. Every hilltop has another castle or a walled town or a garden or a palace. So yeah, that was a good answer. Barb, did you have a favorite?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Yes. The hilltop towns are so charming, and they're not full of people. So you can walk up and down the cobbled streets, and there's views in every direction. There's wineries in the flatlands. And then you come back to 3 absolutely incredibly fabulous Italian meals at La Romita. It doesn't get any better than this. It really doesn't.
Thank you. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Bernadette, did you want to offer one?
Yes. I went to La Romita in 2015 with the watercolor artist David Saviano. And 2 of my favorite places that really impressed me was Labro, a very quiet town, but beautiful, just really fantastic potential for sketching.
Sure.
And the second one is, I can't remember the name, but it's the town that has the all the architecture and waterfalls. We arrived in the town, and then we walked up a little bit to a park, and then we went into the gardens, and it has a little like room that's a museum, but it's really just an exploration of the park. And you said if you ever got married, you would have your wedding there.
Villa Lante.
Place.
Really not. That's right. You got it.
Oh, yeah, we got married again. That's right. Whatever. I don't know. But that was like, you told us that before we departed on the bus, and we're like, oh, okay, let's see this place.
Bernadette, what was the first place that you said? It kind of cut out.
Labro, Labro, I believe.
Yes, Labro. And then she talked about Villa Lante, which is a Baroque era garden, Italian garden that's just absolutely stunning. With
I think that was Minister Fletcher. It's a noted architectural monument.
Yes.
Oh,
that's why I like it.
And they there is a table there because there's a stream that runs as Bernadette was saying. There's a stream that runs through the middle of it, and in different parts of the garden, the stream performs different functions. In one, there is a long concrete table, and the stream runs right through the middle of the top of the table, and that is a wedding table, they say, and all the fruit and vegetables and wine gets set into this flowing water in the center of the table to keep it cool. So that's
wow.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I really appreciate I forget his name, but our driver took us to the other side of Labro so we could see the view of the entire hill town.
Beautiful. Yeah.
And I just love the photographs that I took, and you know, I'm gonna try to paint something.
Our driver is a real character. His name is Raniero, which would be like Prince Rainier with an O at the end of it. I don't know if he has any noble blood. He's certainly got a noble disposition. Raniero is his name, is our driver, and he is just wonderful. He is always, if he hears somebody rustling in the back because they saw something, he'll say, "Wait a minute, did you want to see these sunflowers? Let me find a place to park." No, he's just absolutely amazing.
That's
Oh,
true.
that sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think that I want to introduce Ruth now, and I'm going to be showing a video from Ruth.
Because my foreign trips were canceled this year, I decided to go online a little bit. So this is one of the first experiments I did with teaching online.
Here we go.
Okay, I want to show you how to make a textured paper like this. This is acrylic on deli paper that has been gessoed. I think I gessoed it on both sides. And I've also done a similar thing on watercolor paper over watercolor. So I want to show you how I start. This is a piece of deli paper, and this time I've used black gesso. And basically what you do is just roll acrylic onto your paper. So heavy-bodied acrylic is better. I'm just going to start with some raw sienna. The trickiest part is getting just the right amount of paint on your brayer. I don't know if you can see that the paint I'm rolling on the brayer has small creases or ridges in the viscosity of the paint. And that's what I'm after. I don't want to push so hard that I get rid of those, but I want to cover the brayer with paint. And when I put this on, I'm going to use a very light touch so you can see, I hope you can see, that the paint is going on with ridges and linear pattern. And I don't want to work back into that and remove that. I'm just using a very light touch, trying to get that pattern in the paint, that texture to layer on the paint. So then I let this dry and add another layer. So each time you do a layer, you want to change color and you want to build up a variety of colors to make a really interesting kind of a neutral background. So I have another one here. It's great to work on multiples of these at the same time because you have to wait for these layers to dry and get out quite a bit of paint. So this is cadmium red on top of a rather cool neutral. And each time you put this over, some of the previous layers will show through and you get just this random buildup of color. See that texture. And let's do another layer on this. It may not be completely dry. You want it to be as dry as possible because you don't want to smush that texture down or lift it up. And I'm using a pretty light touch. works. You can cut through the tape. I've used frog tape, and peel some of this off around your shape. These are kind of complex shapes, and you don't have to do a specific shape. I've drawn some little crayfish on here. I don't know what possessed me, but you can see I'm just taking the tape off around the shapes so that what I brayer on here will be textured and the shapes will be smooth. So basically what I'm trying to do is set up a composition that will allow some smooth areas to show through under or in between my textural areas. Well, this could be as simple or as complex as you like. You could do a simple geometric shape, like the top third of your image, or a square or rectangle, shape of like a sky, a smooth sky, rough land, something like that.
One of the things I noticed when I did this was how brayering over that tape left an image. It actually masked out a lot of different things.
So you can see that each time I put another layer on, it changes the dominance of the colorway on each piece of paper. And my favorite thing to do is figure out if I want the image to be, or the paper to be warm or cool. So because these are crayfish and I have a warm wash underneath, I'm going to end with a cool layer so the warm color of the crayfish will come through. As I was doing this, it just occurred to me that it would be really cool to do this over pieces of collage because it gives kind of a ghostly appearance. So this is another thing that you can try with yours, is to collage some raised paper on your surface and then brayer over it to have that show in relief. Isn't that a cool idea? I thought I'd show you some things you can do with a piece like this that's just got the texture on it. This is just a piece of watercolor paper, heavy duty watercolor paper. And it has more texture here and less here. Now, one thing I could do, because this has texture all over, I could do a stronger shape. I could do some line work. I could do some value change. I could do all three. I'm always thinking in terms of subject. Because this is a textural piece, this line is coming on with some really strong texture as well, which I like. One thing I want to be careful of is that as far as my design elements, I don't want it to be all about color. I want it to be more about texture, maybe a little bit of color and a little bit of line. So perhaps I will start back here with some black to make this line less about color and more about line.
I wish I painted this fast in real life. This is time-lapse filming. And the finished piece was inspired by mountain range. That piece I used some high flow acrylic with an ink pen. And then I decided to try it with the collage underneath. So kind of an interesting foresty sort of an image resulted from that. And you can see how the collage receives the roller first. So it gives you a real dimensional quality. And one of the reasons I thought it would be interesting to show this process for you guys is when you're painting on location, I think some of my watercolor painting is showing through, and that the collage bits have retained a smoother appearance than the brayered bits when the brayer hit them. I think that's pretty cool. When you're painting on location, I think the most difficult thing to do when you're just faced with all this beautiful vision, visual material, is to simplify. I think that's the most difficult thing to do. So by working with collage and just focusing on one design element, the texture, I think it's a little bit easier to concentrate on simplifying. I was thinking about this the other morning as I woke up, and I was thinking of Italy and the phrase "Veni Vidi Vici." I came, I saw, I conquered. Well, I thought "Veni Vidi Simpliciores." So I came, I saw, I simplified. I think that is like one of the hardest things on location. Your whole vista is before you, and you just need to focus in and simplify. So I hope this has given you some ideas for experimenting with texture, and I look forward to your questions.
Great.
So many beautiful textures in the Renaissance towns and the travels I've done. I did a tour in France with painters in 2019. And that was one of the things that struck me about all those small villages with the cobbled streets and stone walls. All the texture is just so rich. And it gives you this a sense of history. So,
definitely.
so different than one of the other travel trips that I took painters on in Maui, which is all about greens and lush foliage. And so the places that we visit, I think it's interesting to kind of take apart what is the inspiration, how do you want to portray it. And one of my questions for all the participants or viewers, whatever you want to say today, I wanted to know, when you travel independently, do you often make time to do artwork, to do a journal or sketch or that kind of thing? I myself personally find that it's harder when you're on an independent trip, like with a spouse or a girlfriend or something like that. I find so much easier traveling with a group of artists. We're all interested in capturing this visual beauty. But how many of you are pretty good about, no matter what, getting some work down? It's I think it's also really wonderful to travel with artists because you inspire each other. You say, oh, how did you handle that scene? I'm going to try something like that tomorrow. The instructor can give you some hints and feedback and that kind of thing, but oftentimes it's your fellow students too that really encourage you and inspire. So
yeah, I think that attitude, it becomes kind of a collective power that we all get caught up in that flow toward creativity.
Yeah. You mentioned, even in an evening, I can get a sketch done just like So I worked them
Nice.
in.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
excellent.
Fantastic. So did you have any other question for the
For
La
the group.
Romita gang, Ruth?
Oh, I'm curious to know how many people besides instructors are repeat students there.
Hmm.
Gail? Yeah.
And
To answer your question a little bit, the people that invited me when I went in 2018 had been there for 5 or 6 years. Rosemary Barron and Joanne Mahendran and a few others that I had met just before then, and they invited me to come, and they were continual La Romita people.
they're the Salt Lake City gang.
Yes, they
Yeah.
are. Yes.
Yeah. And they're wonderful, and they have come year after year with Marion Dunn and Steve Sheffield and others. I wanted also to bring Ben in. What's your favorite town, Ben, after knowing Italy for the last many decades?
Montefalco has the best wine.
Nice.
Oh,
Very good point. Very good
That's
point.
an important distinction.
I agree with that. I don't think you can pick the wrong place.
No, it's true. It's really true. And we do visit some, because there's a serious red wine from Umbria that was only kind of discovered. It used to be an altar wine, and they would let it turn into a passito, like a sweet after dinner wine. Then they discovered just in the 1980s that it also made really good, strong red wine. So it's now become one of the top wines of Italy, but it's still virtually unknown in many places outside Umbria. And we go to one of the wineries that kind of made that discovery, and they let us paint their vineyards and taste their products. So we like to do that as well.
Well, terrific. That sounds like a fun time.
Definitely.
Interestingly,
Wow.
interesting enough, when I went that year, half the group were Canadian poets.
Wow.
That was really fun, because actually we went down and they recited it in a nightclub one evening, and that was really quite an interesting twist. So that was great.
Kind of cross-pollinating the mediums, right?
We try to do that as often as we can.
That's great. That's terrific.
Yeah, the poets and the painters. Also, at the end of that session, I remember that you all decided to interchange. Poets did poems about paintings, and painters did paintings about poems.
Mhm.
And we had after the show downtown, we had another show in the studio. I find that Ruth also on her website, which is what, rutharmitage.com?
Correct. Yes.
She has a really interesting introduction to kind of taking figurative work and incorporating non-figurative shapes, and I found that it's a really nice introduction to abstractions. Really, it's
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's free. You don't have to pay for it.
Right.
It's just like, here I am, and here's kind of what I do, and
definitely.
Yeah.
And we're looking forward to collaborating with both of you. Darla is obviously has an incredible track record of being an international globe trotter. Redundant, but
yeah, my suitcases have been doing a lot of complaining this last year and a half.
I will be making a presentation in the springtime up in Portland, and I will certainly include Ruth in that visit. And Darla, I'm going to make a visit down in Texas. We're going to do something with the SWA, right?
I'm hoping. I'm hoping. We'll have to work on that.
Great.
I
All
hope
right,
to meet you
everyone.
when I'm in Dallas, Darla.
I would love it.
Because I think we're going to be in France at about the same time this fall.
Are we? Are you going in October?
I am.
What part of France?
The Lot Valley, the Dordogne.
Oh, that's where we're going to be.
Okay.
How about, well, if we see another group of artists, we'll just holler at you.
We'll have
Thanks.
a flash mob.
There you go. With
Thank you.
paintbrushes.
So much, Ruth and Darla, and I
Well, it was
encourage
great
you
to
all.
see you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Edmund.
Nice to see some
All right.
familiar faces. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye,
Take
everybody.
care.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.